Hello everyone, today I'll continue sharing with you the story of San. I hope you'll have a few relaxing moments while listening. After many days of silent investigation, CEO Hai finally uncovered the truth behind the recent events. He discovered that the person behind everything was none other than Lin, Sun's mistress, who had pretended to be weak and gentle to gain sympathy, all while secretly plotting to break up San's family. The evidence Hai gathered sent chills down his spine. Fake accounts used by Lin to spread false rumors about San, anonymous messages sent to Sun's business partners to turn them away, and even a voice recording of Lin discussing with an unknown man about teaching San a lesson so she'd never dare to show up again. Realizing how dangerous she was, Hai decided to act immediately. He contacted Sun's younger sister, a naive but honest young woman. They met at a small cafe, where soft afternoon light streamed through the window. "I don't want to interfere in your family's matters," Hai said slowly, his eyes serious. "But someone is taking advantage of your family's trust. Lin isn't as innocent as she seems." The younger sister looked startled. "What do you mean? Miss Lin always told me that Sister San was the one ruining my brother Sun's happiness." Hai slid his phone across the table. On the screen were screenshots and photos exposing Lin's schemes. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Oh my God, so Sister San was innocent all along." Hai nodded gently. "I'm not telling you this to make you hate her, but so you'll be careful. People like Lin, if they aren't exposed soon, will only hurt more people." After that meeting, whispers about Lin began to spread quietly. Some of Sun's relatives started noticing the inconsistencies in her words and behavior. And Hai, though he said nothing, kept silently watching over San, protecting her from afar like an unseen wall. That night, sitting alone in his office, Hai stared at San's photo on his desk. A strange feeling welled up, both tenderness and frustration. He pitied the woman who had suffered so much, and blamed himself for realizing too late that his heart had belonged to her all along. That evening, as dusk settled, Sun's younger sister rushed into the cafe where San worked. Sweat beaded her forehead, her voice trembled. "Sister San, I have to tell you the truth. I can't keep silent anymore." Startled, San looked up and gently invited her to sit. "Calm down, what's going on?" The young woman hesitated, then pulled out her phone, showing the messages and photos CEO Hai had sent, exposing Lin's schemes. Each line of text cut like a cold blade. The truth was so brutal that San was left speechless. She was behind everything?" San asked, her voice cracking. "Yes. She deceived my brother and our whole family. He believed her, invested in some land deal, and now he's lost everything." "Lost everything?" San repeated softly, her eyes blurring. He wasn't a bad person. Just too blinded." Silence fell. San clasped her hands tightly, her face lit by the fading golden light, filled with sorrow, yet free of hatred. There was only a quiet compassion for the man who had once been her husband. Though wounded and betrayed, hearing that Sun had been tricked still made her heart ache, as if an old piece of her past had shattered once more. "Sister San, I'm so sorry. I believed Lin before and even said awful things to you." "It's okay," San smiled faintly. "Evil always reveals itself in time. What matters is that we wake up before it's too late." She stood, gazing out the window where the city lights began to glow. A bittersweet calm filled her heart. Maybe everything that happened was meant to teach her how to let go, to look at life with softer eyes. From a distance, CEO Hai was still quietly watching. He saw the small, graceful woman sitting by the window, her eyes distant, and he understood. "She's stronger than I thought, but lonelier than anyone I've ever known." That night, after leaving Tiểu San's cafe, the younger sister returned home with a storm inside her heart: anger, guilt, pity, and disgust toward Lin's deceit. She knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. She called her mother and Lin for a direct confrontation. Sun's mother, weary from days of financial worry, entered the room. Lin followed, wearing a simple white dress and her usual gentle smile. "What's this about? You scared me, calling so suddenly," Lin said sweetly. The younger sister took a deep breath to steady herself. "I want to make everything clear today, about the land investment, and about who's truly responsible for our family's loss." Lin stiffened, her eyes flashing with unease before quickly regaining composure. "What do you mean? I've suffered because of that too. I haven't done anything wrong." The younger sister's voice rose, trembling with fury. "Stop pretending. I know everything. You were the one who colluded with Tuan to steal money from my brother." The room fell silent. Sun's mother stared in disbelief. "What are you saying? Lin is a good girl. She's carrying my grandchild." Lin turned pale, cutting in hastily. "That's not true. You've been misled. Tuan is just an old friend." But the younger sister didn't back down. She placed her phone on the table, revealing photos of Lin and Tuan at a cafe exchanging envelopes, along with messages where Lin discussed taking Sun's money and splitting the profit. "Do you still have anything to say for yourself?" she asked, voice trembling but firm. Lin froze. Her face drained of color, her lips quivering without sound. Sun's mother looked at the screen, hands shaking as tears streamed down her cheeks. "Oh God, so it was all lies? Even the baby, is it not my grandchild either?" The room went cold. Lin bowed her head in silence, and that silence said everything. Sun's mother collapsed onto the chair, clutching her chest, crying bitterly. "I've lost everything: money, honor, trust, and the daughter-in-law I once loved like my own child." The younger sister rushed to her side, eyes red with tears. "Mom, please calm down." But in her mother's eyes, there was only despair. And Lin, the woman who had once manipulated everyone, now stood frozen, bloodless, as everything she had built crumbled to dust in an instant. The ticking of the clock echoed through the room, cold and steady, like the heavy heartbeat of everyone present. No one spoke. Both Sun's mother and his younger sister were still too shocked to say a word. Then, after a long silence, Lin suddenly smiled. A half-smile, sharp, cold, and chilling. She stood up, brushed the dust off her dress, and her voice turned razor-sharp. "Yes. I admit it. I was with Sun for money, not for love, not for anything noble." "You think I really loved him? A pathetic, weak man, so easy to manipulate. Besides money, what else did he have that was worth clinging to?" Her words struck Sun like a slap to the face. He staggered back, eyes wide in disbelief. "Lin, what are you saying?" "Just the truth," Lin sneered. "When you had money, you treated me like a queen. But now that you're broke, you're nothing but a burden. I'm not stupid enough to stay with a man who has nothing left." Sun's mother burst out in tears. You're heartless. I trusted you, loved you like my own daughter, and you dared to betray this family?" Lin turned around, her eyes empty, her shoulders lifting in a careless shrug. "You trusted me, that's your problem, not mine. I never asked for your trust. And as for the baby..." She paused, locking eyes with the older woman, and said coldly, "It's not Sun's." The room went completely still. Sun collapsed to his knees, trembling violently. His mother fell back into her chair, choking through tears. "Oh God, my son, how did it come to this? The younger sister shook with anger, pointing at Lin. Do you have no conscience left? So many people believed in you, and this is how you repay them? Lin gave a mocking laugh. Conscience? That doesn't feed anyone. In this world, the strong survive. I only did what I had to do. Then she turned, her heels clicking sharply against the cold tiles, and walked away, leaving behind a room filled with pain, disbelief, and ruin. The door closed with a thud, sealing in the silence. Son knelt beside his mother, eyes hollow. Mom. I've lost everything, money, dignity, and even faith. His mother clutched him, sobbing in despair. It's not just you, son, we've all lost, to a woman with the face of an angel and the heart of a demon. Outside, the night rain began to pour, heavy and relentless, like heaven itself was weeping for the cruel truth just revealed. And somewhere in the darkness, Lin walked away without looking back, a smirk playing on her lips, eyes cold as ice. A smile of temporary victory, unaware that it was also the sign of her coming downfall. After the storm, Tieu San quietly returned to her simple daily life. The whole story of Lin and Son's family left her pensive. After all, she had once been part of that family. When she heard that Son had been deceived and his mother had fallen ill from the shock, she felt a flicker of sadness. But the sorrow passed quickly, light as the wind. To her, the past was closed, all that mattered now was peace and the gentle rhythm of the present. That morning, the sun was soft, and the breeze carried the scent of damp earth and fresh leaves. Wearing her old conical hat, Tieu San stepped into her little backyard garden, the one she had tended through her hardest days. She carefully cut the water spinach, tying it into neat bundles to sell at the market. As she worked, a familiar voice called out behind her. Doing all this alone? You'll never make it to the market in time. She turned, and there was Hai, leaning casually against the gate, sleeves rolled up, a gentle smile on his lips. You're here early, she said, surprised. Saw you online at 5 this morning. I knew you'd be up working in the garden. Thought I'd drop by and help. Without waiting for her reply, Hai stepped forward and began gathering the vegetables. His movements were calm, deliberate, strong hands working beside hers. They worked together, one cutting, one tying, and every now and then, their hands brushed. Each touch made them both startle slightly, then smile in shy embarrassment. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, brushing golden streaks across Tieu San's face. She looked up just as Hai bent down to pick up a fallen string, and suddenly, they were only inches apart. His breath brushed her cheek, sending a tremor through her chest. In that fleeting moment, Hai leaned closer and pressed a gentle kiss on her lips, clumsy, unexpected, but achingly sincere. They froze. Tieu San's cheeks flushed pink. Hai stepped back, smiling awkwardly. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. The air went still, filled only with the soft rustle of leaves, until Hai's phone rang, breaking the spell. He answered, voice turning serious. Yes, I'll be right there. Hanging up, he looked at her again, reluctant to leave. Something urgent came up at work. Let me drive you to the market first. The car ride was quiet. Tieu San gazed out the window, her heart tangled with feelings she couldn't name, shy, warm, uncertain. Hai gripped the steering wheel gently, a faint smile still lingering on his lips, a simple happiness he hadn't felt in years. At the market, he carried her vegetable bundles to her stall. I'll head back now, he said lightly. I'll come by later, to collect my payment for gardening. Tieu San smiled, cheeks still pink. If you keep saying things like that, people will start talking. He chuckled, turned to leave, but his gaze lingered on her, the small woman standing amid the morning crowd, her hands stained with soil but her smile bright as sunlight. And he knew, this was what he wanted to protect, with all his heart. After Hai drove off, Tieu San stood for a moment, watching his car fade into the traffic. A soft, warm feeling stirred inside her. Then she returned to work, arranging her fresh vegetables neatly on the bamboo tray. The bundles gleamed with dew, vibrant and green. Soon, customers gathered, some praised the freshness, others complimented her skill. "Picked just this morning, sister," she said softly, smiling. "Very fresh, I'll give you a good price." Her voice was warm and gentle, her smile brightening the whole market. Before long, every bundle was sold out. She washed her hands, tidied up, and headed toward the butcher's stall. Looking at the fresh pink pork, she thought, "I'll make braised pork with pepper tonight. Tom will love that." Carrying her basket home, she walked down the little village road. Sunlight filtered through the bamboo, dancing across her shoulders. The wind carried the scent of earth, vegetables, and faint traces of old memories, all blending into a light, peaceful feeling. Then the image of Hai's awkward kiss flashed in her mind, and her heart skipped. She stopped, touched her lips, still warm from that moment. A shy smile curved on her face, her cheeks glowing pink. In her clear, bright eyes flickered a gentle light. "He's so strange," she whispered, almost to herself. Stepping through her familiar wooden gate, Tieu San felt calmer than ever. No more storms. No more pain. Only the sound of birds, the green of her garden, and something new quietly blooming in her heart. A feeling called happiness. Since that kiss, something inside Hai had quietly changed. He had always been a rational, composed man, someone who prided himself on keeping emotions in check. Yet every time he recalled the moment Tieu San's lips trembled softly under the morning sun, his heart began to race uncontrollably. Work was still hectic, his schedule packed with meetings, deadlines, and business calls. But whenever he found a spare moment, he'd steer his car down that narrow road leading to Tieu San's little home. No prior notice, no grand gestures, just the simple desire to see her, to hear her laugh, or to help her with the small, ordinary things in her garden. Each time he came, Hai brought something thoughtful, a box of silky flan, a bag of fresh fruit, or a chilled drink from his favorite cafe. "You work under the sun all day. Drink this, it'll help you cool down," he would say, his tone gentle and warm. At first, Tieu San was shy and hesitant to accept his gifts. But gradually, she couldn't hide the small spark of joy that bloomed every time she saw him appear at her gate. Whenever he arrived, it felt as if even the garden itself brightened. In the golden hours of late afternoon, they often sat together on the porch, sorting vegetables into baskets or rearranging the small planting beds. Hai would share stories from work, Tieu San would talk about the market, the garden, or about little Tom, her son, who was growing day by day under her gentle care. Her laughter was soft and clear, like the wind whispering through the leaves. And every time Hai heard that laugh, something inside him melted. What he felt for her was no longer pity or sympathy, it had become something real, deep, and tender. As for Tieu San, she too could feel the quiet shift within her heart. Whenever she heard the sound of Hai's car stopping at the gate, her pulse skipped a beat. She would glance in the mirror before stepping outside, smoothing her hair, straightening her blouse, then smile at her own reflection. "What's wrong with me, acting like a girl in love for the first time?" Her smile had changed, softer, younger, touched with a shy glow. After years of hurt and solitude, she had thought her heart would never open again. Yet beside this calm, sincere man, Tieu San found herself living once more, like a young woman rediscovering the sweetness of her very first love.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video của mình hôm nay nha. Hiện tại thì câu chuyện Lý Tiểu San đã đi được một đoạn khá dài và được sự ủng hộ của mọi người thì mình cũng có động lực để làm video nhiều hơn. Lý Tiểu San và Hải đã có nhiều tiến triển trong tình yêu, liệu rằng họ có đến được với nhau hay không? Và Tiểu San sẽ phải trải qua những sóng gió nào, những biến cố nào trong cuộc sống thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo nha. Mình rất mong được sự ủng hộ của mọi người. Để không bỏ lỡ video nào thì mọi người nhớ bật follow và bật thông báo để nhận thông báo khi mình đăng video mới nhất. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video của mình. Rất mong được sự ủng hộ của mọi người để mình có động lực làm video nhiều hơn. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha.